Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, including the Rebel Clash stuff, go ahead and check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using the code OmniPoke. For today's video, we are looking at Baby Blounds. It's an archetype that I've always wrestled with because it's a headache consistency-wise, but when it does get rolling, it slaps, and a lot of people enjoy this for being the best one prize uptrade merchant in the format, and it's had a decent amount of success in this Rebel Clash meta, with the additions of the likes of Scoop Up Net being the main real take on the list, compared to previous counts of just a higher switch count and maybe eating into like more Acro Bikes. So Scoop Up Net opens up Mewtwo as an option in the list to recover Welders more easily accessible, because you can insta-stellar wish for them, or you can place them on top of the deck to protect around a Marnie, which is one of many decks' only means of disrupting Blacephalon. So you can get your way around Marnie and really force Reset Stamp back into the meta with the Mewtwo. So it's a really nice one-off to have, and does make the deck flow a little bit better in that mid-game. Once you find those initial Welders, you get into those Mewtwo Scoop Up Nets. It's a lot safer than Palpad, where it's kind of like Palpad and YOLO your Stellar Wish and hope to find your next one. The Mewtwo gives you a little bit more control because you can Mind Report into the Oricorio, or you can Mind Report into Stellar Wish, or just, as I say, leave it on top of the deck for the following turn. So yeah, this is the list I'm rocking with. It's kind of a mishmash of a few of the more popular lists right now. Like I say, I always struggle with the list consistency, so I've tried to make it as bare bones as possible. You can see I have one A-spec Acro Bike in the list right now. That's your floating spot if you want anything, because I've thought about a ton of different tech Pokemon and a few other tech trainers that have previously been in the list that I'm currently not playing, and I'll discuss those later on. So if you're seeing something and you're thinking, wow, I can't believe he's not playing that card, think about the Acro Bike as the first cut, because it's always a flexible one. But let's jump into the 60 that's in front of you, starting off with 4 Stellar Wish Jirachi. We're combo based. There are pretty much 3 big cards you want to see with this deck. It's Fiery Flints, Welders, and in the late game, it's Fire Crystals. Those are the 3 big cards. Stellar Wish is going to try and hunt for those throughout the entire game. And really, once you've used things like Fiery Flint, you thin a lot of these energies and you have a lot better stats to actually find the good pieces, which is really cool. Then we have our main attacker, Blacephalon. It's a 150 hit point fire type Ultra Beast basic that has 2 attacks. The first is Blazer for a fire, you do 10. You can turn one of your face down prize cards face up. If it's a fire energy, this does 50 more damage, so a bit of YOLO, a bit of insight as well to see what your prize is in the first place. And it can sometimes put things in a little bit easier range, but it's not too relevant because it's all about the Fireball Circus. For 3 fires, you do 50 times the number of fire you discard from your hand, which, yeah, gets pretty insane when you have item cards that can go ahead and grab you 3 immediately from the bin or 4 immediately from the deck. This can just do a couple turns of big announcements on VMAXs or tag teams, and you just blow through them immediately, which is very cool. From there, we have a supporting cast. First of all, the attackers, Blacephalon-GX. It offers that burst GX attack, which is important because a lot of the time, seeing as though we're not playing Gust, we're going to have to use the likes of Blacephalon or Cramorant to do some sniping attacks to help re-skew the prize trade, which is really important. We also have Bursting Burn as an option to confuse things. It's actually our only option against Obstagoon because I'm not playing any other things. So it's like Cramorant and Confuse are the main plays that we have there. And we have the Mind Blown attack that does 50 for each fire you put into the loss zone from your board. This can sometimes come in pretty clutch because if your opponent is trying to gust up the likes of your Oricorio, your Zacian, your Jirachis, just to try and disrupt you, you can drop the Blacephalon Welder to this, and if your Baby Blown has stayed in play, that's like an immediate 300 potentially. So yeah, the Mind Blown attack can also put in a good shift if people are trying to gust around the Blown to deal with some of your like draw-based Pokemon instead, so not to be slept on either. We then have the Cramorant V. It's a 200 hit point colorless basic that has that Beak Catch attack, allowing you to search your deck for any 2 cards and put them straight into your hand. This can force some early game Marnies or Reset Stamps, which is no bad thing for this deck, because you'd rather get those stamps gone early so that you're safe to just roam the board later on. And if you're just doing nothing else, you may as well go for Beak Catch in those opening turns, which is cool. But it's really about the spit shot. You do 160 as a snipe, and you discard all energies. This is oftentimes a finishing move, against Dedennes and other things that are sat on the bench. If your opponent just has a big, 3-prizer in the active and you only have 1 prize to take, either you can go for the burst or you can go for a spit shot play. That's kind of what we're all looking for. We have 1 copy of Dedenne-GX to try and really have a final push, or if otherwise you are just completely dead on your feet, so you can go for that Dedenne change. We have the Oricorio-GX Dance of Tributes. When you suffer a knockout the previous turn, you can draw 3 cards during your turn, which is again so nice when we are combo based. I've already mentioned its synergy with Mind Report, and just in general, just growing the hand size is what we're all about, really. We have the Mewtwo that I've mentioned a bunch. Thanks to Scoop Up Net, it becomes reusable. In my eyes, it becomes a more solid option than Pal Pad, especially because it's more searchable than the Pal Pad with the quick balls. So yeah, that's very nice. And we finally play 1 copy of Zacian V, simply because Intrepid Sword is a good option to grow that hand size. Again, it can incentivize early reset stamps. It can incentivize early Marnies and stuff. I think you actually don't like early game Marnies too much. But at least you force your opponent to play it, and then they have to get their optimal turn by drawing less cards than they would with a research. So sometimes it can buy you some time as well. So yeah, Zacian, pretty nice in that regard. Because you only really need to, especially against these 3-prize decks, you only need to get off 1 or 2 big attacks and you've closed out the game. So just sitting and Intrepid Swording rather than just passing is oftentimes a good deal for you. Especially because you just sit there with a Jirachi anyway sometimes. So yeah, definitely seems solid. We have a couple one-of items. I really like the 1 copy of Stadium Nav because we play 3 individual stadiums now. So the Nav being a great Stellar Wish option in those early turns, it can either get you into more Pokemon, it can get you that factory for draw, or it could get you that Giant Hearth to be essentially giving you 6 mini Fiery Flints, like 4 of the actual Flints, but then you have the Stadium Nav and the Hearth to give you a lot of access to Fire Energies as early as possible. I also really like the physical count of 3rd Stadium right now in the deck, because Dragapult has been shifting towards Power Plant, and that's a big concern when you usually rely on the likes of Dedenne and Oricorio to make the late game push, because they're usually playing Marnies or Stamps. So having the 3rd copy of Stadium and the Nav, I actually think helps improve that quite substantially, so I really like that count. The Ordinary Rod is nice. It means that you can be more sort of frivolous with your early game Flints and Quick Balls and such, just throwing away even your one-of techs. You can try and recover these. Also in the mid-game, you can go for like an Ordinary Rod play to make your Flints more live, to actually get fires back out of the deck. So that's always a nice little mini interaction. And it sort of safeguards you for if you were to like prize a Blacephalon and one gets knocked out early, you still have enough to get your way through the game. So yeah, definitely a nice option for sure. Like I say, the 1 Acro Bike is the floating slot right now. We'll talk about other cuts this card could be, but in general, Blounds is clunky, so it's never bad to have Acro Bikes. I've actually seen lists that play much higher counts of Bike in place of the Scoop Up Nets. That's especially true if you're worried about Dragapult playing the Scoop Up block Mr. Mime, so that is something to bear in mind. But Acro Bike is just a nice card. I don't want to play a super high count. I personally don't think I'd go over 2 copies, because if you end up having to play Acro Bikes and then you're dumping things like Fire Crystal or Welders, you put yourself in a really bad spot. So I wouldn't go very excessive with the Acro Bike, but 1 or 2 extra copies just gives you more options, and it's a deeper dig at the end of the day. From there, we have 2 copies of Energy Retrieval to go alongside the Fire Crystals that are all about recovering those fires. Fiery Flint gets them out in those opening turns, Quick Ball is your ball search, and the Scoop Up Net gives you more Stellar Wishes, as well as that Mind Report option to recover Welders to the top of the deck, which is very nice. Also, it's just a switch card in general to go alongside our physical 3 copies. You still want to have a relatively high count of this, because of a Scoop Up Block Mime, for one thing, but also because, Zacian, Oricorio, Dedenne, Cramorant, they all can't be picked up by the nets, so something to bear in mind. Like I said, these 3 stadium counts in general is really important, but they all offer different things, really. That Ultra Space gives you access to your Blounds and even the Blacephalon-GX in the late game. It's the absolute nuts at times. Heat Factory just giving you an extra 3-card dig is never a bad thing, and that Giant Hearth being more access to energies in those opening turns is always an absolute dream, because that's what it's all about. And oftentimes just trading 1 fire to get 2 more fires is like such a good deal, because then you're opening up the Fire Crystals to be live earlier on in the game, which is very cool. Welder is what the deck's all about, so that we can get that acceleration towards the Fireball Circus. And I am playing double Escape Board. Like I said, I'm kind of paranoid of Scoop Up Block Mime in Dragapult, and I'm also worried about Scrapper becoming pretty much a one-of in some Pika-ROMs, I would say most Turbozations, and a handful of other decks. So I think with Tool Scrapper slowly creeping into the game, I do want to have that second copy of board because just developing it on one of your Jirachis to stamp proof yourself is like such an important deal. So yeah, we're going for that second copy. And then we just have 14 fires. I think most Blowns sit at 14, sometimes it's 13, and a beast, something like that. But yeah, let's look at some other alternatives because Blown's lists have got kind of funky recently. I've actually seen the Wish Upon a Star combo in the most successful list from Q4, but it's pretty much like the standalone Baby Blown's list. I don't think many other people have adopted this. And I tried it early on, as soon as Scoop Up Net was revealed, and I found you end up having like too many goals throughout the entire game. You're trying to accumulate crystals, you're trying to get those flints, get those welders, but then you also have that mini goal of getting the Jirachi Prism, and it just kind of got confused and got like a noisy deck. And your opening turns are already like so ugly with this list that I ended up going against that. So it has been in the list, but I've not been a huge fan of it. Zigzagoon's an interesting one. Obviously, we are playing Scoop Up Nets, and sometimes this can just mean one less fire energy at times. And it actually makes your Blazer a slightly stronger attack, because it makes that 10 damage actually more relevant against a few things if you combine it with a Tantrum, Headbutt Tantrum. So something to bear in mind, but I don't think it's all that relevant. A few other things, Finny's been used for Mirror a few times. Obviously, it's a headache for you to come up against, so something there for sure. Victini, both the V and the Prism Star have seen some play. I think the V ultimately was very good at knocking out Zacians for one thing, but also is a nice option against Control, which I think has had a bit of a downtick. Victini Prism is kind of decent in the Mirror, but it does make you a little bit clunky in that late game, and Stamp is actually coming back into popularity with Dragapult and Pikarom both playing it, so I don't like that option where you end up with just a bunch of fire energies left in your list. If you don't like the Mewtwo, or if you want to play less Scoop Up Nets, you can always think about playing Eldegoss. And an interesting card I saw and considered was actually Double V. This Revenge Blast, it's kind of like a late game Cramorant kind of deal, where it can be like your one last Welder and your one last Fire Crystal just gets you over the line with that big Revenge Blast attack, so that could be interesting. I've not played too much with it, so I don't want to comment on it massively, but it is something to bear in mind. I think the only other things that you've really seen in Blowns is probably going to be the Adventure Bag plus Beastbringer kind of deal. I think at the moment Pikarom is the only popular tag team deck, and I think you can beat it without the Beastbringer a lot of the time, especially because they try and lead or try and utilize their Boltund as quickly as possible in the Blown matchup. So I found Beastbringer to be a lot less effective now that ADP has taken a bit of a backseat in the format. So there are less decks where this card is just good, so I've made the cut there. If you are going to play the Adventure Bag, you'd also think about good old Lucky Egg to try and stamp proof yourself again if you really want to. And then from there, the only other suggestions really is Gust. If you want to play Great Catcher, if you want to play Boss's Orders, you could consider all of those cards as well. But that's really all the options for Baby Blowns. But like I said, I struggle with the simplistic list in front of you to draw well. So I don't want to play any fancy cards. I just want to make the deck work as many times as possible. Because when it does work, it is certainly a dangerous concept. So let's get some games in and see how it functions. Also on the Gust thing, you could think about Fion as well, something to bear in mind. Giving yourself an extra option against Obstagoon, as well as just Gust in general. Put you less concerned about that Cramorant, less important. So yeah, we'll start off with a Mull. I think you're always meant to go second with Baby Blowns as well, if you're able, because you have so few good draws in the opening turns. It's like you want to always have access to Jirachi, and then you always just want those Welders and Quick Balls. So you only have like 12 good opening hand cards. So you want to have those Welders for sure. Alright. We have... going second, double crystal's a bit worrying if I'm looking towards this Dedenne change. There's an Inteleon V staring us down. Typing really doesn't have any relevance when you're a one prizer with only 120 hit points. They'll be bopping us no matter what. And it takes a while for them to actually set up with attachments, so... May not be the worst matchup. Okay, so they play Frostmoth, so they can actually chain attackers, which is a bit more worrying. They get energy down and pass it over to us. I'm going to start with a heat, I think. Well, that's far too many crystals to be giving up with a Dedenne. I can see myself switching for the Burst GX straight away here, because I want to protect this. I don't really want to put down Dedenne because of these. Okay. Let's grab a prize. What a treat. It's a fire energy. Let's put it here. What a treat. Yeah, I've always kind of struggled with this Dedenne. It's like, you always want it as that late game option to push for game, but you're always petrified of things like Fire Crystals hitting the bin. I think if the 2 Fire Crystal in our opening hand were 2 Energy Retrievals, I would have just thrown it all away. But when it's 2 Fire Crystal, you're like, man, we're just dead if we don't have enough of this fuel. Especially with no Victini Prism. Anyways, they're going to get the VMAX and the Frostmoth. They're also going to pick up a Capacious Bucket, so they can be starting to swing here with their max bullet. I see the Ice Dance. Hoping that there's no Stadium bounce here. Ooh, they flip Tails. Maybe they're stuck? No, research. There's the board. No Stadium, please. Give us a chance to draw cards. Quick balling. There's another Inteleon V. And the max bullet. Alright. Well, Fire Crystal's going to give us 3 cards. We've also got potential to wish now. Always toss the fire so I can use Oricorio. Things are starting to come together. Just need that Welder, as always. Let's do this. I should probably chuck Mewtwo away here for another pop with Jirachi. Okay, there's Welder, and I have 3 energies, Pog. And now we're just looking for that Flint, really. We're still a little bit away, but we're getting there. If we have access to Flints now, we're actually going to be in pretty decent shape. You can see the draw power once the deck does get going. Oh man, we hit Flint as well. So we're at 4, 5, 6, and we need an extra 1, right? So we still need to wish. Do I just Flint away 2 fires for the 4 fires? And we're still digging for a Flint or an Acro Bike is our only real draws here. Slash more nets and more switches. So the Stadium Nav can get us there, right? As long as we have the Hearth. We have no other pick anyways. So. Oh, we prized Hearth. Feels bad. I mean, it's not like I would take the other cards anyways, but that's a shame. Could have just seen how Pog the Hearth would be for extra outs. in a time like this. So I can smack for a decent chunk. I can Scoop Net and Stellar Wish again, looking for... yeah, it's not looking great. I think we're just gonna pass. There's a power plant. Everyone's playing the power plant these days. Let's have a VMAX from them. I'm gonna switch Wish. Okay, Crushing Hammer isn't a boss, at least. Yeah, wishing for more wishes. Alright, they're going to quick ball away a research. What do they even want here? More wishes? Or just a Finn? Yeah, they're going to switch and Eldegoss. They didn't need to put down this Eldegoss, but sure. And they grab a bucket. VMAX number 2 ready to rumble. Bullet coming down. Sniping the Oricorio. Okay. Alright. We'll bounce this immediately. Grab this immediately. Dance immediately. There's Welder. That can happen. We're at 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 3, 4, 5, 8. So I can bench attach. Because we only need 7. Let's see what's this. The value of attaching isn't actually that high, because I still need to Welder, and it would be better for me to keep the Fire Crystal. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's stronger for me to hold the Crystal, actually. Okay. Let's do this. Three, 6, 7. Kind of concerned about Zigzagoon. We can lose to a Gust Zigzag play. Also obviously concerned by hand disruption. 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of 14. Crystals and Flint still rocking in the deck. And there's the stamp. Energy Retrieval Welder is 2 pretty strong cards. Crushing Hammer isn't doing anything. Unless he's thinking of gusting, which I don't think he should really. Oh, he's going to boss the Oricorio? Okay. That's risky. Unless he has Zigzag for game. Zigzag would certainly make sense in his deck, because he does 60 snipes. There's an energy to a moth. Alright, I'm going to see the bullet. So, how many Switch cards have we played? We've played 1 Switch, 2 Net, and 1 Escape Board. I'm thinking about how many wishes I need here, but I'm going to promote this one. That's the worst draw in the deck, because we could have had any other card for free. But we do have Dedenne, we have double Fire Crystal, and we have 3 energy still in the deck. Okay. Alright, that's more wishes. So it's wish or nothing, right? It's wish or bust. Oh, painful. Dedenne change is gonna make me lose, right? Because I only have 2 retrievals. So I'll be 10 off. Oh, I can net switch. Wait, that doesn't work, right? I can net this, switch back into it, but no. How many switches do I have left? Oh, was I meant to discard a fire and keep the 3rd Jirachi? Then I could actually do it off the net. If I had binned off the Blown and a fire... No, because then I wouldn't have enough for the Flint to be game. So we have nothing that tanks. This just isn't good enough, right? I've retreated already. Yeah, we're just off. Acro Bike's not good enough. Switch isn't good enough. Yeah, we were just the Stellar Whiff, basically. We had 15 cards in deck with 2 crystals. Not the worst odds. So yeah, shame. Maybe there was a way I could have done it, but I didn't see it. So we're going to scoop that up. Yeah. In that last turn, if I wish if I Flint away, Fire and Blound, and keep Jirachi Switch. But it doesn't make sense, because then Flint wouldn't be game. I don't know if I did that wrong. It's table more. See, I don't play Blounds. So I wouldn't be surprised if I've just played it wrong on that last turn. As always, comments are there for me to be flamed. That's why we have them. Decent hand, we have Welder. Tossing a stamp is never a bad thing to see either. Let's see, Acro Bike. Got rid of a spinner, so he's already got energy. Shrine. Okay, so he's not playing power plants. Interesting. Let's go for this. Let's have a look. We've prized 2 baby Blounds, which is yikes. Rod is here. Prized a crystal. Prized a Jirachi. All energies are here. Quick ball prized. Alright. Not the worst. We can always blow his mind here. All benching does is give him a bench thing to sprinkle onto, but it is safer against a Marnie. And I guess he could do a random Jet Assault with a bunch of pings to the active. And if he plays Shrines, it's actually slightly more likely. So as much as I hate benching this, we'll do it. Crystal from prizes, not too shabby. The hand is looking pretty trash though. Alright, he's going to grab the VMAX, tossing away a research, so we already know his hand is pretty stacked. Had the second stamp in his hand. We draw pretty insane off that. So you can see the Max Phantom. So if I pay retreat, that's already 3. So that's... yeah, we're looking pretty close to this smack. 4, 5, 6, 7? Yeah. Wait. We're 1 off? Yes, we're 1 off. So we can... Four-card hand, we could Bursting Burn. I could Quick Ball for not Oricorio, not Jirachi. I think it's going to be the Bursting Burn. Not a great play. We can also lose here on him gusting us and double switching. I don't think just quick balling an extra Pokemon out makes sense though, even if we can lose. Grab some Marnie. Oh boy. That's game, right? If he just Marnie's into a thing. Alright. Man, we've always just been nearly but not quite so far. You know? One different card in that hand, we just remove all energy from play, and probably it's a concession from him. If I just quick ball like a Zacian and Intrepid, do I ever win from a board state of just Zacian? Probably not. So I don't think it was wrong to not quick ball, even if it meant that we lost like much easier on board when he only had a 4-card hand. I don't think I would have made any. I don't think I would have played differently. So yeah. Let's run it back a third time. Alright, another solid hand for us. And we're in the mirror. Oh wait, he's playing Tails. So it's not a pure mirror. Oh. Also playing our boy Dedenne, so it's just a Welder box with... Well, it plays... maybe it's Blounds with Tails. Maybe like 4 Retrieval, 4 Crystal. I don't know. Right, I'm still going to Welder to the Blown. As decent as it is to Welder to the Cram, I'd rather save that. This looks actually pretty solid for us to just Dede change dump ourselves here. I want to attach, I want to quick ball this to the bin for a bin option. Or do I double bin actually? I'm wishing for more wishes, that's for sure. I'm always putting Cramorant back in. I think I'm always attaching. I just grab another Blown, I guess. Finally a hand where we're allowed to Dede change. Okay. With Rod already played, I think I'm flinting away quick ball fire here. And we're just hoping to find one of our like 8 switch outs, 7 switch outs with prizes. And don't crumb me, game. You'll love to see it. Right. Oh, insta-concede. Oh. Okay, I guess it's one more game then. The only thing Blounds can beat is another Blounds, huh? Stonks. Alright, possibly another Dragapult, by the looks of the typings. Or possibly a combozation. Alrighty, let's have a look. Man, going second, this deck has better openings than I give it credit for. But it hasn't mean we've won the game every time. Arangaroo can be in both combo and Draga. So let's see. Okay, it's Pult. I think I still play this Nav, even though I'm almost always playing Factory here. Because we're deck thinning. And we get to have a look at what's what. Alright, prize the Welder, prize 2 Fires. Prize the Net. Obviously a Hearth. Alright. This always happens. Okay, nice. We grab a Flint and a Switch card. That is really good for us. So let's Flint away Space Quick Ball, I guess. Quick Ball could always just be another... it could always be Zacian if I just whiff. Okay. We'll do this. Scout the outcome of Welder. I always do like taking the individual prize against stuff because it opens up that Cramorant and can sometimes just deny Dedenne. Alright, so we do have the Blacephalon KO with Retrieval, so we always bin a fight here. And I think we always pop a Welder on top for next turn. No, we always grab a Blacephalon here. No, we possibly... possibly this was not the right move. I probably should have wished first to see what I needed. Oops. Alright. Alright, well, we'll take this for sure. We'll do this stuff, we'll do this stuff. I always want to put down second Jirachi to play around Zigzagoon shenanigans. And we will go for the Circus early on. And we'll take our 1. Trying to make the Dedenne a punishing play, basically. I'm gonna see the research from them. There's always the debate of trying to be like more passive with the Blacephalon and just like waiting until their main attacker actually comes up. But I always like kind of criticize that with the amount of Marnie being played. Like I'd expect Dragger to play quad Marnie. So I think take the tempo when you can, and putting this amount of fires in the discard is just opening up so many cards in our deck. So yeah. Hopefully no Stadium Bounce here. Okay, that's very good for us. No Jirachi kill and no Stadium Bounce. Very sweet. Alright, he's spreading it up. Possibly tells us that he plays Scoop Up Mime. That's a very good draw. We'll kickstart with Welder, because they always need to be done. Oricorio is very solid. How good is a Dedenne change? Dedenne change seems solid, but I already have this switch and double wish. So I think I'm just thinning towards that as much as possible. Attach, play. We have 1 and I need to hit double crystal basically. Or more flints. Okay, that's just more wishes. So we've played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we definitely still have 4 in the deck. So that puts us to 250. I'm going to bin the cram and the board here. So it's us digging for crystal or retrieval. We're at 6. I need to attach one, so yeah, 250. And let's see it. This is the most awkward way of us getting it, but we do have one more fire in deck, right? 3, 6. Oh no, this is a whiff. So I need to take this. So I need to discard Blacephalon if I want to... No, I need to discard the fire, and then only crystal is the out. Wishing for more wishes, always the way. Yeah, so crystal is what we need. And it's another whiff, a classic. It's more wishes though. $13 cards in the deck. Come on, crystal. Okay. They worked us for it, but we got there. Three, 6, 7. That's a lot of energies, but that's a big swing. All their energy off the board. Some nice prize cards. Big brain Blowns indeed. Yeah, they just concede on the smack. So that was Baby Blacephalon. It's a lot of the time juggling up, trying to like pitch the hand and like go for Dedenne into wish, 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 or it's just what you saw there, which was like wish, 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 and hope you get there in the end. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this deck. I'm still torn by it, as you can see in those opening couple games. I don't think I'm confident with the deck, so yeah, at the moment it's just not one for me, but I can see the power, and oftentimes on the ladder I'm pulling my hair out because they've just done everything correctly to smack me, and it's still very efficient at racing. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in another video tomorrow. Cheers.